How does the Brothers Conflcit game compare to the Brothers Conflcit anime? Is it worth to play the game after having watched the anime? Short answer, most definitely. Long answer goes as follows. Hi, I'm Lynn and I'm learning Japanese with Otome games and love making reviews and analysis about them. And in this video we're going to compare the Brothers Conflcit anime we probably all know with the Japanese Otome game. Find out whether learning Japanese for 13 hot brothers is worth it or whether you better stick to the anime. And my own answer quite surprised me, rewatching the anime after having played the game. And my opinion completely changed. But what is Brothers Conflcit? Brothers Conflcit started as an independently published light novel that then got drama CDs, then the first game on the PSP, Passion Pink, then the anime we all know and either hate or love. I used to be on the rather hate spectrum. And then the second game, Brilliant Blue. Some more novels and mangas and some more multimedia shenanigans. It's quite a big franchise. What's it about? Imagine you're moving in with your new family, the children of your new mom because your father remarried, and imagine you get 13 siblings. Imagine those are all boys. And imagine they are all horny boys. Horny for you. That's the very creative and intriguing setup of Brothers Conflcit. I wonder if the nickname Brothers Conflcit is an allusion to the so-called bro-con, the brother complex, when a sister is in love with her brothers. Anime weeps among you might be more familiar with the word sis-con, so when a brother is in love with his sister. Those you also know from the anime, the brothers really got into conflict with each other, wooing over the same girl. The motive is not as prevalent in the Otome game. Sure, there are some jealousy and conflict scenes, but in the game it's more like 2 at a time and not all at once. So I think the better name for the anime would actually be Siscon. Well, the anime focused a lot on the siblings, Azusa and Tsubaki, as well as Subaru and Natsume. At least that was my impression, but it could be a biased one. For these characters, it tells a really similar story to the game. You also see in the anime a bit of Futo and Rui, Kaname, Ukyo and Yusuke, but already quite rarely. And lastly, Wataru, Iori and Hikaru are practically non-existent as allies. And yes, I said love interest, because you can actually kinda date the kid in the Otome game. It's not immoral or anything, just, you know, fooling around with the kid. Excuse my poor choice of words. Which means, especially for the latter characters, but also regarding Futorui, Kaname, Ukyo and Yusuke, there's still a lot to discover in the game. Alright, and there's Wataru, a lot in the game. But I wish he was not. And though I say there's a lot to discover, it's only compared to the twins in Subaru, whose story practically got completely told, and for them the anime seems like a best-of their stories. But still, for all the other characters, the character-specific or even plot-like events are very short. And if it wasn't for the gameplay, could probably be played in like 15 minutes. I don't know, maybe not 15 minutes, but about an hour maybe. If it wasn't for the gameplay. My guess is that the light novels were just so short because the light novels themselves didn't include like that much story and character events. So I guess that's why they stuffed the game with gameplay mechanics to at least make it a bit longer and justify selling you 2 games to date all 13 brothers, though each route only takes less than 3 hours to complete. What kind of gameplay is it? It's like a stat-raising scheduling gameplay. Each week you can schedule one activity for the day, do stuff with the boys, hang out with the family, play, work, and lastly, of course, every Sunday, date. Or just watch TV all week, every week. Or try 2-timing them. Thanks for the life advice, Brocon. So far, I've never seen myself able to enjoy gameplay, except maybe for Hanayaka, but this game wasn't an exception. I think the scheduling gameplay is just tedious and stops me from really progressing the story and really talking to the character again and getting to the character scenes more quickly. Instead, I have to replay the long common route for every character again, schedule every week for a minute, watch the stat-raising animation play out for 2 minutes if I constantly press A to skip the animation because there's no real fast forward skip all animations button. And at the end of the week, you're allowed to date your chosen guy. Finally, Oh, and what do I see there? The same sequence to ask him out over and over. Time to use the skip read button. Then you decide on a date spot, which is arguably cute, and now I kind of feel prepared for real-life dating in Japan. Hopefully I have realistic expectations now. On your date you always have a choice to raise affection, and that's it. I think there are 2 or 3 different date scenes to have on each of the 6 spots, so you have a maximum of roughly 18 different scenes, which might sound like a lot, but considering you have to date the guy for 1 year, which amounts to 52 weeks, you can already guess there's a lot of repetition. What is also repeated is, once you've raised enough affection, the theoretically climax of the dating, the staying over events. Sounds exciting, right? Once the boy likes you enough, you can sneakily knock at his door at Sunday night with some super silly pretext. Like you can't sleep, you want to do homework with him, you want to watch a movie, good old Netflix and chill. And then, wait for it, have to convince the boy you've been dating for the last weeks in order for him to let you into his chambers. Because he might not want to, if you don't choose the right emotional reactions. Now I'm starting to doubt whether my real-life dating training the past couple of weeks, wooing the guy, wasn't so much real life. As the staying over mechanic doesn't seem realistic to me at all. And what sucks the realistic feeling even more out of it, like the mentor of love, is that there are only 3 random staying over events. Which means, even more than the dating sequences, there'll be even more repeated events, and the dialogue might end up seeming unrealistic because they are suddenly starting to make such a fuss about staying over that they already did it. Seriously, they did it. So what could and should have been the romantic and even steamy peak of their love development gets destroyed by being degraded to a pure gameplay mechanic. It's not love, it's stat raising. I don't do it for you, I just need the stats. I guess the benefit is that if you enjoy the staying over events, you will see them more often. You will be able to see them again without officially replaying the game. I guess that's something. So my verdict for the game players: it's a filler to make the game appear as if it had more content than it actually has. Or for people who enjoy a super relaxing gameplay mechanic that is simple and repetitive and doesn't require any concentration. I think it might actually aim to this very casual player. You know, someone who, for example, likes to play on commute. Easy in, easy out. Sequential, episodic, and more a time filler than actual value creation. But again, I've never liked gameplay, so my opinion here is not exactly meaningful. Though I wasn't as annoyed as I was with Wand of Fortune. So I guess that's a win. My favorite characters in the game were Subaru by far, though the most sexy award actually goes to Ukyo. Would you have guessed that? He had some really unfair steamy CGs in my opinion. And don't be fooled by his kitty apron. This man is a lion. Second favorite is Hikaru. You don't really get to know in the anime at all. And I was happy I already forgot his backstory again. So I was happily surprised by his revelations that were even more emphasized by his gorgeous voice actor, who's just a favorite of mine. Third comes in Yusuke, and I totally understand now why he's such a fan favorite. He's such a cute blushy tsundere, very dishonest about his feelings, but also very easy to see through, which makes him so likable in my opinion, and their story played out like a typical high school drama, which I actually perceived as refreshing in this game. I think for characters like Futo and Rui, you already get a good impression on what the route will feel like in the game, but let me warn you of Kaname and Iori. Yes, Kaname is flirty in the anime, but reaches a whole nother level in the game, which I wasn't able to enjoy anymore. And Iori, you practically don't meet in the anime at all. And I think for most of you, that is actually for the better. In my opinion, he spiced up the game with his unexpected shift in tone, but I can also see why you argue that it doesn't fit into the game at all and is just too bluntly written. Nasaomi stays a safe character, and the twins' roots practically play out like in the anime. But I personally recommend you, if you play the game, to only focus on the boys you like. This game is only made for the characters, and even key moments play out the same, just with another character, the one you're dating at the moment, saying the lines. So I think you're better off focusing on characters you like, and not force yourself to play Wataru's route. What unites all characters though is that they are horny. horny for the MC, especially in the staying over events. And if that isn't our favorite Otome game setup, all boys horny for the MC. But as most of the characters don't have a lot of scenes to begin with, you don't get to see those flirty and horny sides all that often. And some steamy scenes are even implemented just for the sake of steamy and not because it makes so much sense in the overall plot. Still, most CGs looked cute and were in cute moments, and for some reason made the LIs look older, which I appreciate, as some sprites can look quite young. And I'm not even talking about Wataru. We don't talk about Wataru. In that regard, the anime can be praised for staying true to the art style and not even looking too bland. So if you like the art of the anime, you'll certainly like the art in the Otome game. At least in my Discord, the game is famous for being the perfect beginner game for learning Japanese, as some players had positive experiences choosing BroCon as their first Japanese Otome game. I also agree that due to the setting there aren't many unusual words or kanji, and most of the dialogue is just everyday dialogue. Still, I don't necessarily think it's the best beginner Otome game. I also think Diabolic Lovers is fairly easy and has less unvoiced lines compared to Brothers Conflcit. What on the other hand definitely makes it a charming beginner game are the repeated scenes. You have to replay the common route for every 13 of the brothers. So if you don't know the vocabulary by then, you might want to check your learning methods. Plus, there isn't an intricate story to miss. So this game is definitely safe to start with, and the recently fully released fan translation by Otoge will certainly help out a lot. But feel free to check out the polls on my website to get a bit of a broader impression. And if you want to help me out a lot, please feel free to buy the game with my Amazon affiliate link, or even become a patron to support me and help me buy this fancy equipment, like this super high quality camera. I wish you could see it, it's beautiful. Or one of my patrons, Chihime Amajiki, actually sponsored this very video. She bought the game for me and asked for a review, and here we go. So thank you so much, Chihime Amajiki, and I'm sure everyone who watches this is very happy with your choice. I recommend the Otome game Brothers Conflcit if you just want more of the characters and get to know the characters you didn't see a lot in the anime. I don't even think you will be bored playing the game after having watched the anime hundreds of times, as even the common route scenes in the anime are slightly altered compared to the Otome game, to give you a slightly spiced up and changed experience, though the key events of course stay the same. You won't learn much new about Subaru and the twins, but at least can finally get your happy ending with the guy you love! Yay! I don't even understand why harem animes exist, like seriously. I don't want to be friends or siblings with them, I want to date them, I want to date all of them, so why? That's another story. Still, I think the overall tone of the game is slightly different to the anime. The anime is full of horniness and fighting over the MC, who doesn't really have an opinion and just wants to be friends and stay siblings with all of them. This is of course gladly different in the game. Her character isn't the most outstanding, but it's not as dull as in the anime, and especially with Kaname, she shows her rather sassy side. Of course, the routes and events focus more on one character, and you have less obvious fighting over her. Though of course, also in the game, everyone enjoys her company, but it's not as fierce as in the anime. So if you like the anime or just want a casual, relaxed dating experience, Brothers Conflcit is for you. So which is better, the anime or the game? I'm happy to say that both have their benefits. The anime is bundled harem horniness, while the game finally gives you a happy ending. Still, I wouldn't expect too deep stories or much more knowledge about the characters, as all routes are arguably short, with easily resolved conflicts, and just like one additional character trait you discover for each of the love interests. But you also don't need to know the anime in order to enjoy the game, or the other way around. And I actually enjoyed the anime way more after having played the game, because I already knew the characters and just got some more additional scenes, which I then was way more able to enjoy after I already got my happy endings and know who my chosen one is, and then I can just sit back and enjoy some additional scenes. How did you like the anime? And are you interested in the game? It's only officially available in Japanese so far, but there is an unofficial English fan translation by Otoge. So you can either start learning Japanese with it and have the fan translation in your bag, or just treat it as an English game. But Brothers Conflcit is not the only game that became an anime. How do other anime compare to the games? Are they better or worse? Find out the ugly truth about Otome game anime adaptations in the next video.